it's a pleasure to see everyone here and acknowledging the just wild times that everyone's managing. It's just every day you open the news and you don't know what to expect. But I have been impressed by some of the things I've seen recently, especially happening at the city of Seaside yesterday. A really strong presence, peaceful demonstration on this issue. It was well managed by the city and all the participants in the community. So I just want to acknowledge that. And I think our region has been demonstrating a quality of demonstration that other parts of the country hopefully can be inspired by, peaceful and solid, and we'll see what the future brings. But I just want to acknowledge that and hope that we continue on to a better place through all of this. There have been a number of correspondence that have gone out to the board, particularly from the California Native Plant Society and the Stamp Erickson Law Firm. I will say that we're coordinating with our colleagues at the City of Delray Oaks to organize a meeting to follow up on that if any questions come up from your members. So moving right along, we've had a number of board meetings, I guess, since our last meeting. So we have May 22nd and 27th. Sorry, pardon me, I'm jumping ahead. Hans, I'm trying to raise the level of quality of the meeting, but I keep jumping ahead. So that would be acknowledgements, announcements, and correspondence. The next item would be public comment period. Any members of the public wishing to address the committee on matters within its jurisdiction but not on this agenda may do so for up to 3 minutes and will not receive committee action. Any members of the public looking to make a comment? Seeing none, we'll close public comment period. Move to item 4, approval of meeting minutes. And what do we have? We have a placeholder for the minutes. So I guess the minutes are still in production and we'll come back at your, I believe, unless there's a special meeting scheduled, might be your last meeting or second to last meeting. Now moving to item 5, we have the May 22nd and 27th board meeting follow-up. Does anyone have any questions on what happened at those meetings or comments to raise?
I have one, Josh.
Lane.
I was just having a hard time. My connection was dropping at my computer at City Hall, and we were just really frustrated as a city because as an admin committee, we had stuck together on a package deal, and the board changed from what we had put together as a package deal, and that was really frustrating to us. And it's frustrating to me that the admin committee members, and maybe you talked with your board members and said, look, this is a package deal that we all agreed to stick with, and it's frustrating that we didn't follow the deal that we put together, and that was really frustrating for us. We agreed that part of this blight removal package, we would stick with the improvements on South Boundary and 218, and all those we agreed was a package deal together that we would stick to, and that was just frustrating.
Thank you for the comments, Lane. Anyone else have any comments they would like to add on the May 22nd or 27th special meetings? Okay, hearing none. Let's move on to tomorrow's special board meeting agenda review. it's in the packet there. And so there's a number of closed session items which we'll be covering with the board members again. There's a couple consent items. This is a good one. Hans, I'm going to read this just for you. It's consent item 6A, recordation of notice of cessation of special tax and extinguishment of lien relating to Basewide Community Facilities District. I just liked all those words. I thought it was a rather legalistic agenda topic, and I thought you might appreciate it.
I do. Thank you.
Okay. John or David Willoughby, do you guys want to comment on this item? It's basically an administrative item to remove the special tax lien on Fort Ord.
I don't think David is on. I'm not sure.
Yes,
but,
he's here.
Is he? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good. David can comment then. I think he prepared it.
As you're aware, the CFD tax collections won't continue after FORA sunsets, and this is really just a cleanup item to remove from the property records at the county any inference that the CFD special taxes continue past June 30, or that any of the properties on which those taxes were being collected would be subject to any continuing lien for those taxes after FORA has ceased to exist.
Okay. Thank you, David. The other consent agenda item is an amendment to the retention and separation package for staff, proposed amendment, which would provide for additional 8 weeks of severance for the staff given the coronavirus pandemic. And there's 5 staff remaining. There's a listing of all the accomplishments of the team and an acknowledgement that by achieving certain goals, including the successful transition of the ESCA team to Seaside, that there are sufficient funds in what was approved by the board for this program to provide this amendment. So that will be a topic for discussion, I'm sure. Any questions on that item? So business item 7A is the ESCA and LRA EDC agreement progress update and executive authorization. So there's 2 items under here, which is the first is receiving a report about the status of all of that work that I've acknowledged the city of Seaside and the ESCA team here at FORA for doing a tremendous amount of coordination and work over the past days, weeks, and months to get to this point. There's, as you can imagine, with federal agreements and all of that, there's a significant number of I's to be dotted and T's to be crossed, and they have been working diligently to get that done. So this package will report on all of that, and Stan Cook will be doing a really detailed summary of that. And then there is a resolution that would authorize the executive officer to execute and or acknowledge the remaining documents in substantially the form presented to the board and following review and approval by FORA Council. So just allowing us to finalize the any necessary documents to get this transition complete. So Stan, do you have anything you want to add to that?
No. Well, yes, I do. I want people to know that on the February 21, the board authorized Seaside, or nominated Seaside as the successor to the LRA, EDC, and ESCA. This resolution takes directly from that. It does not change the wording in it. So it should be something we're all familiar with and comfortable with. It then allows request permission for the executive officer to execute the agreements. The agreements are attached in a very close form to what he will be executing, but because things are moving around, there's this, could be slight changes. They shouldn't be substantive. Then this allows us, or the executive officer, to actually implement the agreement that FORA made with Seaside, nominating them as the successor to the LRA, EDC, and ESCA. And that's my summary. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. So that item is what it is there. So we don't expect a whole lot of controversy on this one. It's just it will be a big final action for this important program. And they'll then safely land over there with Craig Malin, I think down the hall perhaps, or maybe somewhere else in the beautiful city of Seaside. And I think that happens June 16th. They'll formally be at the city of Seaside. So anyone looking for ESCA related information will be routed that direction at that time. The next item is a much anticipated final consistency determination by the board on the campus town project proposal from the city of Seaside. I would like to acknowledge the city, and in particular the city attorney working in tandem with the economic development department for putting together a really well organized and comprehensive package for doing the consistency determination review here. We did receive a additional amount of money to contract a planner to take on this work, and they were able to do that work very efficiently because of that well-organized package. So our recommendation, as we at this committee also weighed in on the last time we were together, will be for this to be found consistent with the base reuse plan and for the city of Seaside to move on to its bright future. And that'll be the meeting for tomorrow. Does anyone have any questions or comments on any of the items we covered here? Okay, great. So then we'll be looking at the June 11th board meeting, and that one not quite as concise perhaps as the June 4th meeting. There's a pretty substantial and actually growing list of items for that meeting. I think in the packet it begins on page 448 of 647. I will like to also acknowledge the FORA administrative team who with me was at the office up until I think it was about 8:15 last Friday night, putting together this wonderful tome of a packet, 647 pages. It's one of our best. So thank you, Harry and Jen, for that. We'll have a number of closed session items there. And then we'll receive a transition status report. That'll be Kendall Flint's kind of detailed update on the box checking that we're doing to get this all wrapped up. I don't know if I mentioned at the beginning, but I think today marks around 28 days to the end of the month. We're hoping that the County of Monterey will provide by the end of the week a response for getting this MOA on the Oak Woodlands project complete. If it's not done, because I know they're handling a significant number of items, that will potentially come on the June 19th meeting. We are also planning to bring the notification letter for the federal wildlife agencies that was requested by them a couple months back, which would provide a formal statement from the board as to what's happening with regard to the habitat conservation plan. And so, again, this has been on the radar for some time. If you do have any specific comments to the previously released draft letter, please let us know as soon as possible. Melanie, are you talking to us? No, okay. Didn't know if you were on mute there. Okay. So, you know, moving on to the business items. We do have a placeholder for the campus town consistency determination second vote. I'm hoping we don't need it. I'm hoping that we'll just see Craig. It'll just breeze through with unanimous agreement that this is a fantastic project for the region and it's going to achieve all the things that we dreamed about in the original reuse plan. You know, I did spend some time involved with, as many of you know, the regional urban design guidelines, and there was one page from the reuse plan that we used to hold up in reference to what we were doing, which showed new housing development building up around the perimeter of CSUMB. And I think the Campus Town project fills in a big missing gap, but from that original vision, it would be a completing step. So I really hope this is received well by the board. But we have a placeholder if needed. Otherwise, the next item will be the consideration by the board for certifying the final EIR for the Fort Ord Multi-Species Habitat Conservation Plan project. This will be a simple, easy matter that will breeze through, I'm sure, or not, but we would expect lots of comments from our engaged public. So the team from Denise Duffy and Associates have been working diligently on their end to respond to comments and prepare this document and bring all the right material for the board. So that item will happen. Any questions or comments on that item? No, okay. Then the next would be another light item called the 2020 Transition Plan Update. And this includes different language, I think last discussed about prevailing wage and other items of interest of the board members. So Kendall, do you want to give any further kind of status update on this one?
Just reiterating that basically it includes the language that relates to prevailing wage and some minor edits that other folks legal had asked for. If anybody sees anything in it this week that is please reach out to us, but we anticipate the board getting it on the 11th and being able to move forward.
Okay. Great. So then item 7D, the old unallocated fund distribution item. So what we have been asked to do is provide to the board a summary of all known fiscal requests. And I think for the conversation here, and just to help you all, and also to make sure that we've captured everything, I'm gonna do a quick screen share and show you what I have on the list for this at the moment. Let's see here. Put this down. Screen 2. Share. Okay, so this is a listing of what it's looking like and what we would begin the conversation with the board. There is and I've kind of listed it, I would say, from the top of where there's been general agreement down to ones that may require additional discussion. It's been well discussed that there are LRA administration needs that the city of Seaside will need to take on that have to do with conveying documents to underlying landowners. So, and other tasks, so that's that item. The QTAC Rock team have been working overtime on out-deed document preparation. So there was an acknowledgement that there may need to be an additional funding of that work. The counties refining their measure of post-FORA administration needs, and that we're kind of working with the county team to make that as efficient as possible. There's the Veterans Affairs Coordination. So there was a larger number that the county brought to us some months back that included $350,000 for 3 years of post-FORA Veterans Affairs Coordination. There's also been continuing advocacy from the VIAC committee members and the veterans community and some board members to find a way to provide this funding. Then there are 2 items related to reimbursement agreements that have been brought forward. One, it has to do with MCWD and a shortfall in the RUAP pipeline reimbursement up to $274,000. And if I might, I would refer to this nice set of notes here that describe some of those, along with the City of Marina Del Monte extension request. So the MCWD request for approximately $274,000. There were, let's see, MCWD submitted 1920 invoices to FORA totaling about $1.9 million for reimbursement of expenses. And MCWD contends that FORA has a firm commitment to reimburse MCWD $4.3 million for RUAP expenses and up to $6 million if funding is available. FORA's legal counsel does not agree and does not believe that the firm commitment was stipulated in the agreement. And not to speak for FORA counsel, but if you have anything you want to add to that, John, feel free to jump in. FORA board approved a 1920 capital improvement funding for the RUAP of $1.62 million. And that check is on the way to MCWD. And so this is a shortfall that they say they are owed and have requested payment. So that's that one. The Del Monte extension with the City of Marina submitted a reimbursement invoice on November 25th, 2019 for expenditure of 3 CIP projects, including Salinas Avenue widening, 8th Street improvement, and the 2nd Avenue Del Monte extension for $106,000 was that particular one. The invoice was not addressed by FORA in 2019, and the reimbursement request was resubmitted by the city on May 26, 2020. City of Marina contends that these charges were in accordance with the reimbursement agreement between FORA and the City of Marina, signed May 3rd, 2007. FORA Council has not yet reviewed or provided their opinion on this agreement and the request for funding. FORA board approved a 1920 CIP funding in support of the City of Marina for Del Monte Boulevard extension of $947,000, which was requested for payment by the City of Marina, and FORA has paid the city for the approved funds. So these will be topics of discussion. And then there is a larger request by the City of Seaside for a laundry list of roadway repairs on FORA constructed roads. And then there's a long-standing request by LAFCO for a legal defense fund of up to $1.5 million. So,
Josh?
yes,
Just
Christy, go ahead.
a quick clarification.
Sure.
The CIP project numbers identified in the City of Marina request as approved on the 1920 CIP was for CIP project number 10, which was the one that was approved and paid. The other ones were previous CIP numbers. Just clarify.
Thank you for the
It's not the
clarification.
same.
I will acknowledge that Christy Reimer has been just doing incredible work getting into the minutia and the details of these agreements, which is no simple task, particularly having received a handoff from multiple prior staff members. So Christy, thank you for that. It's really been an incredible utility for all of us. So our intention is to offer this up for the board to discuss. And as you can see, as the last reporting, we're somewhere around 1.3 million in unassigned funds and 3.9 million in requests. This is where I would pick up my black hat with the white lettering that says disappoint equally. So hopefully we will be able to arrive at a equitable solution to all of this. And I do note that Jonathan Brinkman from LAFCO has his hand up. Jonathan.
Just a brief comment. The last time the committee looked at this list of items, there was 100,000 LAFCO administrative oversight cost item, which I don't see included today. So that's just the
Okay, thank you,
gist of my
Jonathan.
comment.
I'll add that one to the list. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else want to get in on the list that's not seeing numbers that they want on the list? Lane, I'm seeing your hand up.
Yeah. Christy, can I just follow up with you offline on our Del extension? Because I want to be sure, is that within the 560,000 that is approved in the CIP program, or is that 106,000 here above what's in that approved CIP?
It's above it,
Yeah.
Lane. And I have
Okay.
talked to Brian McMinn about this, but I'm happy to get on the phone with you guys again.
Yeah, we've authorized and issued checks for all of that money in the CIP, as far as I'm aware. I've signed a number of large packets from the city that.
Okay, good. I just need that clarification if that was above that. And then
Yeah, and I think that's the question, Lane, but if it's helpful, I'm happy to get on a call with you guys.
okay. And then my second question is, are these unassigned funds able to be used towards the East Garrison obligation that would then run towards
That's kind of the subject of some closed session deliberations by the board. So I think we should probably leave it there, but rest assured that there is a totality of numbers and a totality of efforts trying to get everything settled so that we can get the bonds issued next week. And you know, I would recommend trusting your elected leaders to guide the ship.
Thank you.
Melanie.
Yeah, I just wanted to, I appreciate this, and the county is looking at the funding request. We're planning to bring it for our board on Tuesday the 9th, this coming Tuesday. So just for the record, our request still remains at the 1.5 million.
Okay.
Officially, but I'm conceptually fine with the concept, and we're presenting it to our board of reducing those numbers and kind of whittling down on that request.
And I appreciate that, Melanie. I will say that part of what's been happening behind the scenes with all of these different changes in all of the efforts on the bond and the funding and all that, has been an effort to find an equitable and smooth transition process to get us through June 30th with remaining friends and a regional and a collaboration ethos. So that would be just acknowledge that the county staff have been willing and engaged members of that conversation. And I think this potential reduction by the board reflects some of that effort. So thank you. So any questions, any further comments on this stuff that you all would like to share or ask? Okay, great. Then I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that something doesn't pop up unexpectedly that causes a problem on the recording. And let me just escape from that piece here and bring back up my, okay, so that was item 7D, the unallocated fund distribution. While we're on the topic of fund distribution, I'll just make a note that the board, and this probably was better handled during the 5/22 board meeting review, but I just want to acknowledge that the board did approve the final MOAs to do the CIP fund transfer. So what needs to happen is signatures need to get on the final agreements, and I believe, will be taking that up this Friday. So you would expect to see some emails from us that would, as soon as they were processed by all, would allow the finances to begin to flow. So I think the target would be sometime next week to have your finance teams in place to receive these funds if you're one of the entities receiving the funds. And then also there'll be, following that, the joint community facilities agreement that have to do with the CFD funds for habitat. Those will be following in sequence. And our man, David Willoughby, who's been doing the yeoman's work on the agreements, is continuing to do that and having an eye on all the details. So expect to hear from us on those items later this week, early next week. Okay. Any questions or comments on that? I see Melanie Beretti's raised her hand. Melanie.
Yeah, I don't know if you either didn't get to it or if I blanked out for a second. I'm just seeing the agreement with the county for FORA record stewardship.
Yes.
I just was wondering if you sent a draft of that over to us yet. I haven't seen it.
I believe there's been so many agreement emails. David, can you confirm that we've gotten there yet, or?
We have not submitted a draft. I emailed Wendy Strimling yesterday suggesting that perhaps she might want to take the first cut at drafting the agreement as sort of a time savings approach because of the lead time that's necessary to get anything through the county board of supervisors. So I offered her the opportunity to draft the agreement yesterday afternoon, and she and I have not connected up since then.
Yeah, so I understand. I know where you're headed, Melody. Maybe. I mean, I think that we're in an active conversation about how that's going to get done. So I think that if it's not ready to go out on Friday, this would be added to the June 19th, which I'm hoping could be even our last meeting. But if not, please put a placeholder on your Friday, June 26th for a final special meeting if needed of the board. So yeah, so that's a wishful item, I guess, at this point to get done by Friday. Nevertheless, it has to be done at some point soon. So yeah, so that would be our June 11th board meeting agenda review. Does anyone have any further comments or questions? Lane?
So I just want to clarify, so on those checks that you're going to try to get out Friday or Monday,
No, we're not going to get the checks out Friday. We have to sign, even you sent us a signed version of the MOA
right?
back in April, the end of April. And between that time and the board, there were final refinements on the MOA. So I'm gonna have David Willoughby provide execution copies of those final MOAs, which we will provide to you for signature, and then come back and they will be signed, and the checks then would follow in the week after. We have a 7-day window to get those to you.
Okay, so you'll be sending checks, or do you need numbers for wire transfers, or I just want to clarify how you want to do that?
Yeah, I think that would probably be the way to go. I would just ask that you have your finance people and FORA finance people together, and we handle it as efficiently as possible for wire transfer. I would
Josh,
say,
I know that
don't route your
Helen,
wire transfer data through a bank in Mexico or something. But
Josh,
yes.
I know Helen's not on, but I think her preference, because of the pretty exorbitant charges per wire transfer, was to be sending checks, but
Oh, okay.
that,
Okay, that's what.
What's your preference, Lane? Do you have a preference?
Whichever is the quicker method.
Quicker.
That
Well,
send
being
the check, that's easier. We're fine with that.
yeah, and maybe we could even, have them signed and somebody could pick them up, or they could be hand delivered. We're customer service focused here at the Fort Ord Reeves Authority.
Sounds great.
Okay, I'm seeing Dino Pick raise his hand.
Hey, Josh, thanks. I've got to drop off, but before I do, I want to just acknowledge the terrific work by Christy Reimer, John Geffen, and David Willoughby, no doubt under your guidance to execute our agreements and get our contracts transferred over. There's a lot going on behind the scenes right now, and I just really, really appreciate it.
Thank you, Dino.
Okay, guys. See ya.
Okay, well, appropriately, we're at item 8, items from members. I'm seeing Mr. Malin raise his hand there. Craig, okay, he's got something to say. Hold on, let's make sure you're on. Okay, there you go, good.
And Josh, I sent you an email right before the meeting on this topic, in part because Seaside is taking on LRA and ESCA responsibilities. We have a little concern about maintenance of the FORA website post-FORA, and what the out-of-office message looks like. So I would just like to maybe schedule that as a discussion item on our next admin committee, so that we're all on the same page about what that's going to look like.
Okay, yeah. Do we need at the next meeting, huh? Okay.
That would be helpful.
So the next meeting will be June 17th. Sure, I think that's fine. I mean, if there's, perhaps your email lays it out in more detail what your preference would be. But
I think, our preference would be that the website is maintained sort of as is on the last day. Again, we're happy to host it or something, but it has just a wealth of information.
Yeah.
It has, we're both ESCA and LRA. There's so much information on the website that we would like access to without having to go poke around some other place.
yeah, so the plan is for it to be maintained, I think at this point, by the county. But perhaps it could be an open discussion if there's room for any other path. But the current plan is that the county would be the steward of FORA records, including the FORA website, and the intention would be to host the website at least for a couple years after, if not longer. It's a de minimis fee, and it is quite a record of useful information. So. Okay. We'll put it on for the June 17th meeting and provide the best most current information. Melanie, I saw you were reaching for the mic there. Did you want to add anything?
No, I just wanted to rest assured, Craig, this has been an active conversation on the county's end, and so I know that Josh is working with our IT. It's assumed that we'll maintain it. We're not planning to continue to update it, but to maintain it as a record. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Great.
My staff would just be very appreciative if that was an actual agenda item that was discussed.
Okay, we can do that. No problem. Harry, you got that note, right? Lane, I saw you leaning forward. Do you have something you want to add?
No, I agree. I think that'd be a good discussion because we just want to, I think the website does have a wealth of information, and we also want to know how we would track the other records, or all the records that the county has. Are they going to be on the website?
Okay.
Or is there a whole other slew of record access? And I think that's a good discussion to have, so we all know how to track down those records and information, so we aren't calling the county every week saying,
Yeah.
how do we do this?
Yeah, so we can, we'll put the website and records in general as a discussion topic. And Melanie, what do you have to respond?
I just wanted to, if you can help me note, I want to be able to forward that to invite, make sure that I can have my RMA records lead come as well. Because I think the plan would be that any formal records requests that aren't available digitally on the website, that those would run through probably RMA records working with contract purchasing for access. So I just want to make sure we have the right team available to help answer some of those questions. So I'll work with Josh and make sure that that invite gets sent out to help answer some of those questions for what it is likely going to look like on the county's end.
Sounds good. That'll give us something really focused to talk about on the 17th, other than watching Lane and Craig jump for joy that they've got 2 weeks left under the thumb of FORA. But anyhow, okay. So any other items for members? Okay, well, seeing none, we're at item 9. Craig, this is your favorite item. Do you want to go ahead and make a motion?
Sure, motion to adjourn.
Lane?
I'll happily second that and
Okay.
echo again. Thanks, Josh. We know you guys are working hard.
All right.
We appreciate everything you're doing.
Okay, thank you. Everyone have a good week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Hey,
See you
Josh.
tomorrow.